Today, on Be Something Wonderful, your reality is what you believe it is. It's beyond belief. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. I heard from one of you that said, Tom, I have some questions on how to change beliefs. And you even mentioned that part of you enjoys thinking that your husband is a bad dad, but you believe that doesn't serve you. But then you said, on the other hand, it does serve me because in a way it does serve me because it makes me look good with my children. So I want to cover this today and more. I don't want to start with this. We're going to get to this belief, but I want to start laying out the groundwork on beliefs first. And then we'll get to your question. So here's really what I want to say. Remember, beliefs are just thoughts, right? God had a thought, and the rest is history. We have the 3D world, we have the universe and everything else. And as God keeps thinking, we continue to exist. If God stopped thinking of us, we would not continue to exist. God believes in us. That's why we exist. God keeps thinking of us. So beliefs do create reality. What you're thinking about continually creates reality. What you believe in. Beliefs are just thoughts that you keep thinking. That's all they are. You keep thinking them because you view them. In other words, you see and perceive them as true, as facts, as real. That's why they're called beliefs. You see them as truth about reality rather than thoughts about reality. You see those as reality rather than thoughts about reality, right? A belief is a thought, an assumption of what is or what is not, right? Therefore, you don't question it. It is your reality. It's your way of seeing reality. Do you hear this? That's why we call them the beliefs. You believe they're true. You believe that's your reality. You believe that's the way things are, or that's the way things are not. Either way, that becomes your reality. So let's break it down here. And I want to address a few quotes with Byron Katie. I've talked about Byron Katie in some earlier videos. If you get to those, you'll love it. I'll do more on Byron Katie. But Byron Katie says, don't believe everything you think. Right? A thought is harmless unless you believe it, unless we believe it. It's not our thoughts, but the attachment to our thoughts that causes our suffering. In other words, when she says the attachment, she means the identification with our thoughts as our thoughts. Right? Our thoughts, remember, become beliefs that we believe are reality. So it's our attachment believing that we are that. Right? I love, and this is what Byron Katie says, I love what I think, and I'm never tempted to believe it. Wow! Hear that? I love what I think. She puts love into it, but I'm never tempted to believe it. Wow, that is a beautiful state to be in, right? Because remember, it's only our belief in all those thoughts that cause us the suffering, that cause us to feel a certain way, right? And here's what she says, I didn't let go of my negative thoughts. This is big. I questioned them, and then they let go of me. Hear this again, because a lot of times when we talk about letting go, that almost feels like we have to do, that feels like effort. Letting go of negative thoughts, and we never can because they're always there. We always return to them. We're always digging up the past and bringing it with us in these negative thoughts. So here's what she says. She didn't let go of them. She simply questioned them. She stopped believing them. Wow! That's powerful. We've talked about this in other ways, but and then they let go of her. That's what she's saying, right? So we're going to come back to that. Remember, subconscious, unconscious beliefs appear to be buried or hiding out in your consciousness because they seem so real to you. You believe they are reality versus thoughts about reality. Here this is, right? We talked about this. A lot of you are talking about sabotaging beliefs or the beliefs are hard to get at or they're hiding out. No, they're not buried or hiding out anywhere. Look around your reality. That's what you're believing. Whatever you're seeing is what you're believing because that's what you're creating, right? And so So they appear to be buried in the consciousness because they seem real to you. They feel like truth to you. You believe they are reality versus thoughts about reality. When in reality, beliefs are just one way out of it, one way. They're just one way out of an infinite number of possibilities to see reality. Hear this. Your beliefs are just one avenue, one way, one image out of infinite number of images or thoughts to see reality. In other words, to think about reality. It's not that you're necessarily unaware of them, right? These quote unconscious or subconscious thoughts. It's just that you believe them to be the truth and facts beyond question. You've thought about them so much that they became automatic. And they got pushed back into your conscious mind. That's what we call it, pushed back. But they're there, right? But that's because you believe them to be true. And you're acting on your truth now, which you believe to be true about reality. But you can access anytime. They're all there. They're all around you in the life you're living, right? You believe they're facts beyond question. These become core beliefs, a statement of what reality is or what reality is not. Just like linear time is a core belief. Right? That we're young, that we get old, we get sick, and then we die. That's a core belief, right? So there's a lot of others as well. All beliefs are limiting or false in that they condition unconditioned consciousness. I've talked about this. All beliefs, by definition, are limiting. Because what do? They condition the unconditioned. They condition the unconditional, God. Right? God just is. God doesn't change, but as God contemplates itself through you, we condition reality. Remember, thought and beliefs are just a self-contemplation. It's you contemplating reality and then seeing it and perceiving it. Wow! It's self-contemplation, like God self-contemplates itself. God moves on itself and created the 3D world and the universe, just like you move within and create your world, right? They determine the movie that will be projected on the blank screen of consciousness. That's what all beliefs are, right? Only one belief is wholly unlimited in truth and true. I am source. All other beliefs are limited. You are source. That's the only unlimited belief. Whether a belief is negative or doesn't serve you anymore is revealed by what you are experiencing as reality right now. Do you hear this? So we're going to get to this person's question in a few minutes. But whether you believe it doesn't serve you anymore or that it's negative is a label that you use, revealed by what you're experiencing as reality right now. In other words, if you're experiencing unwanted experiences, unwanted conditions, that's a belief that doesn't serve you anymore. Do you see that? That's what we call a negative belief. It's just a label to label something unwanted. And there's a belief behind it. There's a thought behind it. But it's not about digging up past beliefs. Because remember, you're always looking as reality. You're always digging as those beliefs. You're always looking at reality as your beliefs. So the more you look for them, the more you create them, right? A limiting belief, that's a limiting belief in itself, that you've got to dig up and fix yourself and fix all those beliefs. You're always looking as your beliefs. So look around at your reality and then you'll see what you're believing, right? And this whole idea of self-sabotaging beliefs is a limiting belief. How could we think that we're out to sabotage ourselves? That's not it at all. Every belief you have serves you or has a payoff. Otherwise, you wouldn't believe it. Now, those things that you're believing, there's some of those that you may now label unwanted or negative that don't serve you anymore. Now you can move to another belief. But if they're still in your experience, you're still hanging on to them. There's some secret payoff to that belief, the reason why you're still hanging on to a belief that doesn't serve you, right? Those that you label negative mean they served you, or you believe they served you at one time, but now no longer serve you. That's all that we mean by negative beliefs, or quote limiting beliefs. That at one time they weren't limited. They were beliefs that expanded, that helped you, right? But now you believe they're negative because you don't believe they serve you anymore. The labeling creates resistance in the idea it was imposed upon you, but you created it. You believed in it. It's all you, right? Remember, every belief that is labeled negative or unwanted has some secret payoff, or you wouldn't believe it. Wow, that's powerful. You wouldn't still be believing it if it didn't serve you. It must have some payoff. Why are you hanging on to it? And we're going to get to this in a few minutes. So here's the client's question. This is a good time to talk about this. Here's what she asked. I would like clarity on how to change your beliefs. Part of me enjoys thinking my husband, whom I'm separated from, is a bad dad. But that doesn't actually serve me. But in a way, it does serve me because I look better to my children. So now we've got the beliefs are out there, right? This is the beliefs you want to say. But again, it's not about changing beliefs. It's about releasing them and releasing the negative ones, the ones that don't serve you, the ones that are not that don't point to expansion of who you really are. They're not closer to source or closer to who you really are, right? And then create new beliefs, right? So what's the belief? What is she actually believing here? Well, here's an example. There's a belief behind the belief here, right? Probably, but only she knows. And again, I'm not judging anything here, guys. I'm just using an example. She'll figure this out for sure as she looks within. And one hidden belief could be, I'm not a good mom or wife. Behind that, right? Why else would she hang on to this, right? There could be a belief behind it, I'm not a good mom or I'm not a good wife. So thinking that her husband is a bad dad keeps her from this hidden belief. Do you see this, right? If her desired end, let's get to that. Her desired end probably, maybe, this is an example, right? Say her desired end is to be in a mutually loving relationship with my children and husband based on unconditional trust, love, and compassion. Let's use that based on to be in a mutually loving relationship with my children and husband based on an unconditional trust, love, and compassion. Well, then what is holding her from it? This belief, enjoying that her husband may be a bad dad. It doesn't serve her, but she does have a payoff that she looks better to her children, right? And that's not even hidden to her. She said that, but there is a belief behind that. Because what's her true desire? Her true desire, her true imagined end, and again, this is an example, it may or may not be her desired end, is to be in a mutually loving relationship with my children and husband based on unconditional trust, love, and compassion. Then if that's true, if that's the desired end, what's the belief behind it? What's the hidden belief that I'm not a good mom or I'm not a good wife? And if I don't keep this belief alive, that's going to get discovered. Do you hear this? Right? That she believes that she can have this. She wants this, she desires this, but she believes she can have it. And I'm not saying this is true with you, I'm just using this as an example, right? That to be in a mutually loving relationship with my children and husband is what I want, what I desired. But I don't believe I am a good mom or wife or will be. So then I'm going to keep this belief alive, even though it doesn't serve me. That's why I'm keeping it alive. Right? Because then then I'll look better to my children. And then I won't be discovered. Remember, this is a bogus belief. You're a great wife, you're a great mother, you're a source, you're God, you're divine. All of that's bogus, but that's what you believe. And so you keep rolling these forward. Do you see this, guys? So the imagined end is what we want to focus on. Let's hit this a little bit more. So here's the question, and you have to ask yourself, what perceived unwanted thing happens if my wish is fulfilled? What perceived, if this wish is fulfilled, if this wish I'm going to be in a mutually loving relationship with my children and husband based on unconditional trust, love, and compassion, if that wish is fulfilled, what's the perceived unwanted thing that happens if it's fulfilled? Because that's the only thing, one of the only things that can be keeping you from your wish fulfilled, right? You believe. In other words, what's the secret payoff of non-fulfillment? Wow. Right? What's the payoff of non-fulfillment? Otherwise, when you imagine it and believe it, you become it, and your wish is fulfilled. So here's an example, just an example. Again, this is not what your situation was, it's just an example. I won't be a good enough mom or wife. It's that fear. Do you see it? That will be discovered. That is your non-fulfillment. The secret payoff of non-fulfillment is that won't be discovered. And I can continue to roll the illusion forward of the dad being a bad dad, thinking him as a bad dad, and that establishes a better relationship with my daughters, right? And then he feels like he's a bad dad, so he's going to be coming to me. Do you see this? I won't be good enough mom or wife. That's the fear. And then the other question is, or what perceived wanted thing happens if the wish is not fulfilled? These are the two big questions. What perceived wanted thing happens if the wish is not fulfilled? My husband is perceived as a bad dad, and I look good and better to my children. Do you see this? If her wish is not fulfilled, her ex-husband, or the husband that she's separated from, looks like a bad dad, and she looks good to her children. These are the two things that are keeping you from your real desire. To be in a loving, mutually loving, trustful relationship with compassion and love with your husband that you're separated with and from your children. But because of these perceived unwanted things, or the perceived wanted thing, that the perceived unwanted thing happens if my wish is fulfilled. In other words, the secret payoff of non-fulfillment, that I'll be discovered as I'm not good enough. Right? That's bogus in itself. Or the perceived wanted thing happens if it is not fulfilled. My husband continues to be perceived as a bad dad, and I look better than my children. Wow. That's powerful. I just want to remind you guys, there are no facts. It's only what you believe, and that becomes your reality. It's all bogus. You get to decide. Drop that unworthiness. Drop it. There is nothing to fear. Remember, we talked about unworthiness. The root of it is that the ego feels rejected, but doesn't know what it feels rejected by, because God does not conceive of the ego. God gives the ego no reality, right? And so the ego doesn't know really what God is, right? And so the ego's feeling rejected, but doesn't know what it's being rejected from. And that's what that original feeling of unworthiness or rejection comes. It's bogus. It's false. Remember this, guys. It's so big. So it's not like I have to get real. I need to be realistic. Oh, but it's true. Arguing for your limitations, but it's true, Tom. All of that's bogus. Reality is what you say it is and believe it to be. Why? Because you are made of that love, which is ultimate reality, the unchangeable, right? Source energy, the reality that never changes. So it is what you say it is. To believe otherwise is to give the already manifested 3D reality, or in other words, the past, more importance in reality than what you desire to be, do, or have. Wow. That's what this person's doing. You're giving that past, already manifested reality more importance in reality than what you really desire. If that is your desire. I'm just using that as an example, right? The only unbelievable belief, this is from A Course in Miracles. The unbelievable belief is from A Course in Miracles, saying the ego is the only unbelievable belief, believing in that. The only unbelievable belief is to believe you're separated from Source and can't be, do, or have whatever you believe. Wow. Beyond belief, beyond doubt, is identification with your I am as the one and only source of your reality. Really, reality is what you believe it is. It's beyond belief. I am your host, Tom Caron, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, like and share our videos, and comment. That's how we get our message out. You can follow us on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful. We have a group called the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors. You can find us at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. It's a totally open group to all of you who want to share insight and guidance, and also want to give insight and guidance, right? And also get and receive. It's a beautiful group, and you can share your success stories. It's empowering. And also you can join us on Instagram at Tom Caron, Twitter at Tom Caron, or just go to our website anytime at tomcaron.com or besomethingwonderful.com, where all that information and more is there. Creators, until next time, with great love, with great light, and infinite gratitude. See you soon.